Hello there, my name is Mike. This is another Soulframe Prelude 12 video. This one is answering some of the most frequently asked questions in the Q&A chat in-game. You can find all of the timestamps for all of the questions down in the description, so you can jump around to wherever you want to be in the video. My answers to most of the questions are going to be pretty simple. I don't really want this to be a guide, but rather just a primer to get people started and moved in the right direction, since a lot of the game isn't very well explained in-game. And we'll start off with the question that I see asked the absolute most, and that's, is there fast travel? Short answer, yes. After you complete the Waste Bears quest, this tree will spawn in your Nightfold, and you can go over and pick a Wevetseed every 12 hours, and that will let you fast travel to any world tree that you've got on the map or your faction hub. I'm trying not to spoil any of the game in this video, so I don't have any footage of the actual Waste Bear quest. But that takes us nicely into the next question, which is, how do I uncover the map? When you first start playing, there's a fog of war all over the entire map. To uncover it, you have to find the world trees scattered around. They've got these spears sticking out of them. You just gotta pull the spear out and it will uncover a big chunk of the map that used to be covered in fog. I already had all of my trees discovered at the point I was making this video, so I just stole some video from a guy called Grind Hard Squad on YouTube. I'm going to link his channel in the description so you can go check him out. The third most asked question I see is, what do I do? Basically, this boils down to make sure you've done all 8 of the current fables that are in the game. Those are the main story quests. Those will unlock your different animal pacts and various story elements, as well as your ancestors in your Nightfold. After that, it's pretty much a sandbox grind game experience. You go around and kill bosses for fragments that you use to craft weapons and armors. You get runes to make your weapons stronger. You get animal totems that also augment your weapons. You level up your different pacts and your different weapons so that you become stronger and can fight harder enemies. There's all kinds of challenges that you can do, different bosses you can take on, sieges in the game that are basically like little mini raids. And there are a lot of dungeons to run around and explore. There's also a hard mode that's kind of a boss rush game mode that you can do that's called Koga. I recommend getting some packs leveled up and some weapons leveled up before taking that on though. Next up is, what are totems, runes, and arts? We'll start with totems. These are the items you get from taming the animals that are wandering around in the landscape. You can hold Q and click while close to an animal to pull out your flute and play it a song. You also get a resource called Harmony from doing this. The better you play, the more harmony you get, and harmony is used to rank up your runes and your totems, both of which are used to augment your weapons, and I'll show you that here in a second. Runes come from the different bosses and sieges in the game. The rune drops aren't 100% guaranteed, so you might not get a rune every time you kill a boss. But each rune has a specific boss that it drops from, so if you look up the rune, you'll be able to find the boss that it drops from and go farm it for the rune that you're really after. If you go to your tent in your Nightfold, you can right click on any of the weapons in your equip screen, and it'll bring up your augment menu. You can equip your runes and your totems to change how the weapon plays. You can also upgrade the totems and the runes with the harmony that you gathered from singing to the animals. You can also release totems that you have a whole bunch of duplicates of, and this will net you a little bit more harmony. I've been keeping 5 of each totem if I've got them. Realistically, you'd only ever be able to equip 3 at any given time, so I guess 3 is really the magic number there. As long as you've got 3, then you've always got enough to cover your weapons. While you're in your tent, you can also access your combat arts. You can see if you hover over the Pact icon, you can hit upgrade, and it will show you your skill tree for your pacts. You get these points just by leveling up the pacts. If you back out, you can hover over the combat arts icon, which is a heart with a bunch of eyes on it, and it'll pull up the weapon classes, and you can see how many points you have in each of those. You get 5 points for every level 30 weapon of a certain class, which just means that some of them can't be maxed out right now, like the sword and shield. The next one I see a ton is, what is Endless? Endless is just a tile that spawns in the Glades of Anduin dungeon, where upon activating a deer statue in the middle of a very large circular swamp, it will spawn waves of the Mockery enemies, the tree guys with the spirits hanging out of them, and you just kill them for XP for your weapons and for your pacts. The name Endless is kind of a misnomer because they updated it somewhat recently so that it only spawns 20 waves of enemies, which reaches a peak level of 50. But the name stuck, so that's what people still call it. So if you see people in chat talking about endless taxis, usually they're talking about someone's found an endless and they're offering to bring people to it so that they can farm for their XP. To kill a Mockery, once you've downed it, you have to hold Q to enter Spirit Vision, and you'll see its spirit floating around, and then you just click to absorb it. While it's not quite as good as it used to be, it's still a pretty strong farm, particularly for your Pacts. In the video that I've got playing in the background, I've already got a maxed out Pact equipped, but I came in with a level 13 Odiac secondary weapon. By the time I finished all 20 waves, I had managed to level it all the way up to level 28. If you're in an Endless, you can judge how far you are into it, because it spawns these armored Mockeries every 5 waves, so you get 4 waves of them by the time you're done with your 20 waves. Next are a couple of quick ones, like what is the max weapon or Pact level? The max weapon or Pact level in the game right now is 30. Is there a daily reputation cap for factions? Yes, the reputation cap daily is 16,000, and it resets at midnight UTC time. In this next section, I'll talk about where to find some of the items that people ask about the most in the Q&A chat. I can't really cover all of the items of the game, otherwise this video would be 40 minutes long. But we'll get started with Gossamer Quartz. People ask about this one the most out of anything, and there are a few places that you can get it pretty reliably. One of them is from these statues that you'll find in the open world. You can run up and play your flute for it, and it will frequently drop a Gossamer Quartz for you. I would do these whenever you come across them, just for the chance of it. You also get them pretty regularly from the chests in dungeons. The next item on the list is scrap brass, and to a lesser extent, scrap iron and steel. Brass specifically comes from the polearm racks that you'll find scattered around. You can also get iron and steel from these. The most reliable spawns for them that I've found have been in the Glades of Anduin dungeon and around the Fort Curlail raid, or siege, whatever you want to call it. You'll need an absolute ton of brass, iron, and steel to craft all of the weapons and armors in the game, so it's definitely worth picking up anytime you see any kind of weapon rack. This Glades of Anduin dungeon is the one that I recommend farming. It's the lowest level, and its respawn point is very close to the entrance of the dungeon. If you don't need any of the other resources that you get out of the dungeon though, then I would highly recommend the Fort Curlail raid. You'll get more brass in a shorter amount of time by running it over and over again. You can run through, loot all of the racks, and then enter a dungeon and exit. That way you can reset it and come back and do another round of the weapon racks. The last of the items is the river pearls. These are somewhat rare, and they spawn along the waterways, so you can just follow a stream and you'll come across 1 or 2 maybe. It's very RNG based. Sometimes you'll find 5 or 6, sometimes you won't find any at all. If you come across them while you're wandering around, you should absolutely pick them up because you will need them for crafting later on. They also drop from some strong enemies, like bannerets. In the clip here, I'm killing one of the Elkhorn bannerets, the generic ones that kind of spawn around. They don't have a boss bar or anything on them. Just be aware that they can drop them, so double check that you've picked up all the loot around any enemies that you've defeated, so you don't miss out on free river pearls while you're running around. But hands down, the easiest way to get any crafting item in the game is to buy them from the Avakot merchant. These guys spawn around randomly. Your compass will start to flash if you're nearby one, and you just kind of have to look around. If you hold down your spirit sense, your Q button, it'll make them a little bit easier to spot. They look like a really big mushroom, just kind of standing out in wherever you are. If you get close to them and you haven't seen them yet, they'll also start yelling at you. So if you hear somebody yell, "Oi, leggy," that's probably an Avakot merchant somewhere around you, and you should look around for him. Their wares reset every 3 hours, so they'll have new stuff for you to buy. They also sell the animal packs that you get from the main quests if you accidentally sold yours or destroyed it for whatever reason. They also sell a random joinery for the premium currency. This is absolutely not worth it, and you should never buy these. They are easily farmable in-game. Next up, what is Smite? Smite is this glowy icon that spawns on enemies after you've dealt some damage to them with a weapon with Smite chance on it. You can see in the video, I'll point out when the Smite goes on this banneret that I'm fighting. Once an enemy has a Smite proc on them, you can hold Q and hit your attack button. This will pull the Smite to you, and it will empower the rune on your weapon. It can also do other things like heal you and damage the enemy based on the different talent nodes that you have on your weapon and your Pact. In the same vein of the combat, a lot of people don't know that you can throw your weapon. To do this, all you have to do is hold your block button and then press your heavy attack button, and then hold that heavy attack button until the little bar that pops up crosses over into the gray section so that you can get a perfect throw and deal additional damage and smite chance, again based on the weapon arts that you have unlocked for the weapon that you're using. As for acquiring weapons and armor, you'll get fragments that drop from bosses and sieges. These can be taken to the blacksmith that you unlock with the Steel Singer quest and crafted into the armor or weapon. There is a lot of RNG, and most of the bosses have weapons and armors that drop, and you will only get one fragment per boss kill. Bosses respawn every 30 minutes, except for the Mendicant King boss, who respawns in 3-hour increments. If you're looking for a specific boss or weapon or armor, you can go to avakot.org, and they have a map that shows all of their locations and who drops what. Next up are the Joineries and how you use them. These are these little lantern looking things that will drop from enemies, usually bosses, and from the gold chests. To use them, go to your blacksmith and click on the Reforge tab, and then scroll down to the weapon that you want to reforge, and you can select the joinery that you want to use. Each joinery has its own buffs that it applies to the weapon, and certain weapon types can only take certain joineries, so you just have to mess around with the system to really understand what you can use and what you can get out of it. There are different levels of joinery. You should never use any joinery that's lower than polished, because polished will be the highest amount of damage or stats that you're going to get out of a joinery. And lastly, you can also reattune weapons with blessed joineries. This basically just changes the attunement so that it gains stats from a different virtue. And the last thing I'm going to cover is how to get more health potions. I see people asking for this a lot. The best way is to kill enemies and loot chests. Enemies have a chance of dropping health potions, and chests have a chance of dropping health potions as well. Health potions show up really brightly when you hold down your Spirit Sense, your Q button. So after you're done fighting a bunch of enemies, especially if you're low on health potions, make sure you're holding down Q so you can see all of the loot that they dropped, and you don't miss any health potions. You also get one health potion every time you die. And the last place I know to get them is from the Avakot merchants that spawn around. If you have less than 5 in your inventory, then the Avakot merchant will have it in its wares when you go to talk to him. And that's about all I got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you got any feedback for me, you can leave it down in the comments. I'll read it and take it on board for any future videos I do. I'm planning on doing a couple more videos talking about the different pacts in the game, how they play, how they feel, as well as the different weapon classes and how they feel. So if that interests you at all, make sure you check back in a couple weeks and see if I posted another video. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.